guys, I'm Luna. I hope you don't mind me hanging out with you for the weekend.
It's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. Yeah, it's about the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got the love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. You can't make a change unless you got some love change. Do it with some soul and a little love change. We started from the bottom, talking about the roots. Every time I'm in the booth, I gotta show the truth. My art is
welcome to the Boondocks Podcast. This episode, we're reviewing Season 2, Episode 6, Attack of the Killer Kung Fu Wolf Bitch. HBO synopsis. Granddad invites a total stranger to the house for the weekend and has the nerve to act surprised when she turns out to be completely insane. Fucking hate the synopsis, but before we get there, how y'all living?
Yeah.
Blessed.
I am really, really good right now because I got to hug my best friend for the first time in a really, really long time because I'm finally at the full immunity of my vaccination and it just felt so fucking good. And then I saw my mom and I got to hug my mom.
Get out.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I got my last shot on Monday.
Yay.
So I have
Another week or so.
Yeah, another week or so. Yeah. I did get a little side effects from this one. Hubby and I both did. The next day he called in sick, and that's funny because he teaches online, but he called in sick. Yeah, we were just super lethargic, like body, little body aches. And then anything
that
intramuscular.
The kind that you just can't bring you have no motivation to actually like do anything, but it's not like you're falling asleep.
Yeah.
Which one did you guys get?
We got Moderna.
You got Moderna. We got Pfizer, both of us.
I got Moderna, first shot only, and I was like, sunshine, happy days, and rainbows. Like there was no anything, and all three of us are immunocompromised, I believe. So I was shook. But
there's so many things that are going on,
Absolutely.
From the vaccination, and then the shootings here and there, and then another, brown youth was shot. What was it? Was it Chicago? Where they shot the kid? Yeah, because they said the Latin Kings are coming after them. I'm pretty sure. Where the kid, he had a gun that he dropped behind the gate.
Yeah, he dropped and his hands were empty.
Yeah. And then they shot him dead. That's when they shot him. So, yeah. And then Indianapolis just happened. And then
Austin happened today.
And then something happened. Oh my God, was it Kenosha? Yeah, in Kenosha. At a bar at 2:00 this morning, 8 people were shot. Like, there's so much going on.
These happen in clusters. They always do.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that, people who think about mass shootings wait until there's a mass shooting and then go and do a mass shooting. But it's kind of like how I'm really depressed and my best friend is really depressed and my best friend kills themselves. Well, I'm depressed and now I don't have my best friend, so I'm going to kill myself too. So it's like, I hate to say it that way, but that's really like, you see that with a lot of different things.
Yeah.
But
yeah, it's pretty crazy. But, that's why I love our weekly little chats because like we've said before, it's kind of therapy and it allows us to kind of step away from all that. So,
yeah.
And talk about the beautiful world that is the Boondocks.
Okay. So before we get into this episode, one of the things that I wanted to mention was this is Aisha Tyler's first credited voiceover work. She played Luna. She also is Lana in Archer, who just love it.
Oh, good for her.
Right. Like I feel like Luna is like the slightly crazier version of Lana.
Yeah.
Like they still have kind of the same skill set and like, unflinching about killing somebody who might deserve it. But like Lana is super efficient and like very straight laced. But it's just funny to me. Like I didn't realize like to me, it almost feels like she's been voiceover acting forever. But I forgot that before that, like we would see her in like
24
in little bits and pieces and
Friends.
She was in Friends. I forgot about that.
She was the first Black like major character because she was on a few different episodes, you know, that they had a love story with.
Yeah.
I always remember. And before that, she was on E. Like, wasn't she on like Talk Soup and shit before that?
Yes. And she was like doing comedy and stuff too in there. And like at one point, well, since then she's worked on like Whose Line Is It Anyway?
Yeah.
And what else? There's been a few things, but Archer, you know, she's been doing Archer for years now.
Look, that's how you keep working in Hollywood as a Black woman. Like talking about reinventing yourself or like putting yourself out there, you know, for different projects.
Criminal Minds. That's right. She was on Criminal Minds for a couple of years.
Yeah. I like that. That's good to know that because I didn't know that she was in voice acting until the end of this episode. I wanted to see. I thought I knew who the best friend was because the voice sounded very familiar. And
I didn't actually look. No.
Yeah,
no?
It's Pam from Martin. It's Tashina Arnold.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I didn't look it up because I forgot to look it up, even though I had written that down. But yes, that's as soon as you said the name. Oh, I can see her face now. Okay.
So when I was listening to it, I'm like, I know that voice. I don't have a name. I'm like, what? Did I talk to this person? It's because I just started, you know, I always binge watch something. I just started rewatching Martin again. So that's why it was so familiar. So kudos to her as well. Like she's continuously worked after Martin. You know, she did Everybody Hates Chris, which I think was huge
Tashina
for her.
Arnold.
Yeah.
Tashina Arnold, yeah.
But I've been watching her since House Party. Like that was my first, you know, experience with her.
Little Shop of Horrors. She was one of the girls.
You're right. Nope, I'm gonna go back. Little Shop of Horrors. That's right. That's right.
That probably still is my favorite movie musical.
Her and Gina.
Yeah.
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah, they
must have been right around the same time they were really making a name for themselves in the 90s.
They were on
80s.
They were on a show because they hosted the BET Awards together a couple years ago. So they were doing the media and everything, and they were telling stories about how they've always been in competition since the early 80s. They're from the same.
That makes sense.
Same borough, whatever, you know, wherever they're from. Everybody from the East Coast is like from the same place. Yeah, and so Pam, Tashina, I know she has a real name. She says that it was at the time where light skins were becoming popular. So she's like, I lost a lot of roles to this light bright over here. And you can tell that they have a very loving girlfriend relationship. Like it's, you know, it's very powerful to see them together and they support each other. So they were sharing their resumes and it's like back and forth. Like, you know, Gina would get something, then Tashina would get something. And, you know, they were in their own right super successful. Tashina wanted the role that, oh my God, I know her real name. Gina's real name. Oh God.
Campbell.
Gina.
I'm in a rabbit hole, right?
Tisha Campbell. There you go. Yes. She, Pam wanted, look at me calling their names Martin. Tashina Arnold wanted the role that Tisha Campbell played in School Days. Okay. So I guess like it was basically down to her or Tashina Arnold or Tashina Campbell when she got that. Yeah, which makes sense because she was a light skinned girl. You know what I'm saying? Like Pam couldn't have played that. I think they wanted her to play the Furious's girlfriend. So Larry Fishburne's girlfriend instead. And then she was like, no, I'll do something else. She went and did Broadway or some shit. But anyways, super awesome for both ladies because they just be able to keep working. Awesome.
I when you mentioned her, I had to look her up because that's what I do because my brain is like fighting to remind me. But yeah, Little Shop of Horrors was definitely the first thing I saw her in because before that, it was like an episode of Sesame Street. Sort of thing.
Yeah. Do you guys remember the model show that she was on? It was a short-lived TV show and it was a bunch of models. It was a spinoff of Growing Pains. And it was a bunch of young models that lived in the house together. Yeah, it was very short-lived. And she was on that too. I'm gonna tell you, I need to get on a trivia show. I would win.
Yeah, you do. I'm looking at this like one episode of The Cosby Show. Okay, that sounds right. Yep. Ryan's Hope. Do you remember that soap opera?
Oh yeah. Oh my God. Because my mom.
That was her first big quote unquote big thing. 23 episodes in a soap opera.
That's when mothers called their shows my programs. Because my mom be like, my program's coming on. My story.
And then she was on All My Children, so she definitely was on her stories.
Wow. Oh yeah, I loved All My Children too.
She went from All My Children to Martin. So Martin was the first big.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That was such a great show. Martin's such a great
Jamie Foxx show, a bunch of movies that I never saw.
A
bunch of one-offs.
Yeah, her funny thing was when she did My White
Big
Kids
Mama's
too.
House. She was in the first Big Mama's House.
Oh yeah, she was. Yep. She was in Boomerang too. I mean, it was just like a little
she
cameo.
Also was Brenda. She was also Brenda Ritchie's voice in this episode too.
Yep.
Oh,
nice. Oh, and then Everybody Hates Chris. I forgot about that show.
yeah. Yep. That's what really helped to blow her up completely was Sheena. But no, she was on there too. What's really cool is they would help each other out. So, Tashina Arnold helped to get Tisha Campbell roles and vice versa. Like if they were ever on each other's shows, that's how you got to do it. As a Black woman in Hollywood, especially if you want to keep working. I want to find the name of that model.
She definitely has.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah.
So, and then the show she's in now is called The Neighborhood, which I have never heard of. But
so, did you watch New Girl?
I did.
At the beginning. Yeah. In the beginning.
Fucking hilarious. Okay, so Schmidt, one of my favorite shows ever. So Schmidt from The New Girl is on that show. So it's him and then
Cedric the Entertainer.
And then the girl from oh God, where they were trying to like bake oh my God. They were both waitresses. Kat Dennings was in it.
Oh. Yeah.
Two Broke Girls.
Is that
so yeah. The blonde is also on there.
Okay, I think that's who that one is.
Yeah, it's
Beth Bears.
Yeah. So my thing with CBS shows is I'm like, you guys are not funny or entertaining. And then we'll watch it after the show went off. We're like, what is wrong with us? This shit is hilarious. We did that with King of Queens. We did that with Big Bang Theory. So I'll wait till it goes off and then I'll probably like it.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of formulaic comedies. Like New Girl, I liked the first probably season. Big Bang Theory, I probably got a couple of seasons in before I got completely bored of the same joke over and over. Yeah. But also, I am part of the community that they were constantly making fun of on Big Bang Theory. So it wasn't as much fun when every time a woman would walk into the comic store, it was like, when I walk into the comic store, I'm looking at the murder comics and the guy is looking at me for a very different reason.
It's so funny. Like there's so many things about it that it's like, it's funny because it's true, type of thing. But I totally get, I get you. But what I loved about it is that they ended up developing, let's say Mayim Bialik, when she came on there, she stole the freaking show as her character. And then, she ended up marrying Sheldon. And like, she was the perfect, match for him because he was so anal and so everything. But developing them as people other than just being really smart and being nerds and liking D&D, that's what really made it like an endearing show and what ended up making it, I think, last so long. But I always called the one character David. I was like, that's Darlene's boyfriend. I know him. Yeah. I know his name. I'm still going to call him Darlene's boyfriend. So, yeah. But, how do we even get on this? We were talking about it.
I don't know. This is what we do. Because we were talking about Aisha Tyler, and then we were talking about black women.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the show.
Let's do it.
All right. So this episode kind of it starts off with Huey narrating Granddad's adventures in online dating, and how super what's the word that I'm trying to think of? How just focused on the looks and really nothing else Granddad is. Leading to actually our first.
So is that all you care about is looks?
Yes!
Well, excuse me for thinking you like me for who I was on the inside.
Well, you're a liar on the inside. This whole relationship is based on a lie. An ugly lie! Why in the hell this keep happening to me? God, what did I do to deserve this? This is payback for what? What did I do to you? Tell me.
Maybe I should leave. Nigga, you ain't no Denzel. Hell, you ain't even no Flavor Flav.
You ain't even no Flavor Flav.
Now that hurts.
And it was right around the time that Flavor of Love, I think, was on. Yeah. So he was on that with Bernadette. What's her bucking? The Schwarzenegger's ex-wife that Flavor Flav was with.
Oh yeah, Bridget Nielsen.
Bridget Nielsen.
When they were on,
he's like Bernadette.
Surreal Life. Yeah, they were on like Surreal Life together. And they had like a real relationship.
Yeah.
And then
Stallone. That was Stallone was married to her. That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
But they were into each other. Like legit into each other.
I mean, more power to them. I'm just referencing that. I understand this quote. You ain't even Flavor Flav.
Yeah. Any of those shits from
you don't even
have
Love, anything.
Y'all weren't even getting paid, and you actually let him put his tongue in. That's so gross. But anyway, so sorry.
Okay, I need some bleach for my brain right now. That was
so gross. Oh my God. Lindsay, would you ever do that? Like we're more, I don't want to say we're more wise, but if in your 20s you had been approached, because you would definitely have been somebody that they would have casted in that show.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
you're gorgeous.
Yeah.
No, you guys are nice. Listen, I think I talked about it on this pod when I was like, I wanted to be on Big Brother. And my mom's like, a certain type of person does that. And I hope I raised you to be better.
No, Big Brother wasn't like, we love Big Brother. Love it. We have our game plans for how we're going to act when we go on there. Like, probably not to this day, what our personas are going to be. Like, so that we can win the game. But yeah, it's not like you were trying to say I want to go on Bad Girls Club. Now that's something. Then I would have been like, girl, didn't I raise you better than that?
I also wanted to be on the one with all the play. I used to want to be a Playboy bunny when I was young, y'all, but I was also a way bigger girl when I was young. And my mom, oh my God, we'd go toe to toe over that shit because she hated it. But did you guys watch I Love New York?
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
do you remember
that was
the guy?
Spinoff from a Flavor Flav show.
Yes. the character It. I was riding the I used to be a real estate agent in New York City. So I was on the subway in Brooklyn and he comes up to me and he's like, spitting game. And I was like, I know this guy. I know this guy. I know this guy. And he was really nice. Like we just talked and he's like trying to get my number and shit. But I had a boyfriend at the time. And when he got off the train, I was like, that was It from I Love New York. He does not talk like that. He is not like, slow in speech. I mean, speed in speech, not like any kind of mental ailment or anything. He was like just a totally normal guy. And I was like, holy fuck. I text my girlfriend like, yo, this guy.
Yeah. And what they did to them, like they of course they created this characters out, with editing and things like that. Mm-hmm. And I think at that time people were so, they wanted fame so much because this was at the height of like being able to make a living out of reality star. Mm-hmm. So I think so many people were like, I have this opportunity, I'm going to do it. So they played whatever role. And these producers are really fucking good. You know what I'm saying? They ask these questions in their confessionals and things like that. Or, they start the fights. Speaking of, did you guys hear about the guy from Bachelor that ended up coming out?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay. How did nobody
I don't watch those shows, but
that?
Yeah.
Like, I'm seeing clips and I'm like, so everybody was like sleeping during the season? Like everybody? The viewers, the girls in the house, very obvious. I don't know, like super obvious. But now they're having this whole narrative about how did that affect the women? Was it fair? Should all those women be able to come back and have another shot at love? Stop it. Bachelor is like, stop. Okay, like there's no love really created there, like legit. But yeah, so back in the day, I probably would have gone on the show like that. Like, a little thirsty for a little attention. Can you imagine that? But I probably would have. But I wouldn't have wanted to play the role of the angry Black woman, which is what they try to put pretty much every.
Yep. Yep. The token.
Yeah. Real World did it the best. Real World did it the absolute best, but
they did it the best in the beginning, and then they kind of did it the worst because they kind of made the model then for everything that followed. Yep. Like the first season or two, when they actually took situations that were happening organically and sometimes reshot them, but didn't like make up new ones and like push people together. I think it was like season 3 or 4. When was Puck?
Season
that
3.
was the one.
Season 3. That's
3.
when
so
it
that
got,
was That's when they were like, we can see that these two really don't like each other, so we're gonna make sure that they butt heads whenever fucking possible. Yeah, because it'll create drama.
They definitely put Puck and Pedro and Judd and like they did that completely.
I cried so hard when Pedro.
Oh my God, that was the first time that because instead of hearing just about AIDS and hearing all the bullshit about how it who transmitted it, like that was my first experience with, not knowing, but getting to know somebody and seeing him and his, husband, Sean, and being like, I was like 15, 16, so I was like, oh, so it's like, he loves him the same way that I loved Brian Austin Green, and so I thought, but no, I'm just saying that was the first experience for me to go, he's a person. He deserves love just like everybody else. And you can see how much they really loved each other. So they did great there. But good Lord.
I am looking back on that. it's really nice that, because it wasn't that long after that it became a trope to have a gay roommate.
Yeah.
And have that gay roommate either like hit on or like, but with Pedro, it was all, no, I'm going to talk about the fact that I'm HIV positive. And yes, I'm young and I know I'm probably going to die. And all of you guys who have never met anybody with AIDS or known anyone with AIDS, guess what? This is what we look like. We're real people.
Yeah. I'm an artist. I'm an immigrant. Like my family worked hard. Yeah. That's what was so great about it.
I didn't do anything to deserve this.
Yeah.
And I think that was a lot of our generation. I mean, I very much remember Ryan White and then all of that stuff. And that was before that, obviously. Yeah. But that was really, with the exception of all of the stuff that happened around Ryan White, that was really the first time it was humanized for me too.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that was the first step when people saw this is how we can successfully use reality TV, and we were probably the first generation that showed we're willing to do it. We're willing to like strip down, be honest, and show the truth, the true story behind something. Whereas everything else was always so, I don't want to say PC, because if you watch some 80s shows, good Lord, they basically were so misogynistic and and racist and things like that. So I don't want to say PC, but our generation was just the first one that said, look, we're real people. Let's go ahead and show that. Like, let's stop making everything 90210-ish or, like that.
Our generation was the first one to say we are real people with real feelings and real desires and real death and real heartbreak and real lives. And we're not going to hide it from everybody anymore. And I am so proud of, I know that there's still fucking way too many people who think differently from this, but I look at my 21-year-old stepdaughter and watching her and her friends grow up and, knowing that she's had trans friends her whole life and she's had gay friends her whole life. And she's had friends who were, who had experienced really crazy shit in their lives, but also her life was normal in that we did not take out our traumas on her like our parents did to us.
Oh, yes.
And that's, I would say probably 2/3 of the country who are under the age of 50. Like our kids are the ones who are starting to be taught all of the things that were terrible for us growing up.
Yeah. And we're so much more vocal about it. No
willing
shame
to talk about it.
Yeah.
No shame
to our parents or anything, because you guys just are people. And once again, nobody gives you a book when you have that baby and goes, switch to page 42 when this situation comes up, like they're doing just
everybody's trying their best.
Yeah. So, and it's just how they grew up as well. But definitely we're dealing with that, but we're aware of it. So we're able to kind of break that cycle for the next generation.
We're also the first generation that willingly is seeking therapy for the traumas that we've experienced.
Yep. Yeah.
So, like, to the day my dad died, I do not know if he ever did a day of therapy that did not involve my mother saying, I'm going to divorce you if we don't. So, and, he was in Vietnam. He did 2 tours in Vietnam. And, a lot of other shit happened to him long before I met him. The whole reason why he went to Vietnam was because he had had a not so great childhood and fell in with some people that weren't the best people to be with, so I can look back on what was a traumatizing childhood and realize that my dad was still trying his best.
Yeah.
And I can also realize that, I had to change a lot of things when there were children in my life.
How he parented you is a result of how he was parented.
He was parented. Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So, that's how I looked at it. Because my dad and I have never had the greatest relationship, but now as an adult, I'm understanding a lot of things about, his upbringing and the lack of a relationship that he had with his real dad, although he did have a father figure in his life. And how detrimental that is to men, period, I think, for you to ever think like I wasn't worthy enough for my real father. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm sure that conversation has had to happen at point in times, which is why I think has made my dad so wanting to be successful, or like building what success was. And wanting to pursue that, but then also taking care of my grandmother and stuff like that. So it's, when I look back at it as an adult, I'm forgiving. I don't ever have to really have that conversation with him. I feel like I just need to, for myself, move forward and try to have a better relationship with him as an adult, so this is why I say when people go, well, I had such a hard upbringing and that's why you're an asshole as an adult. Nope. Because everybody has a decision to go ahead and say, yes, this is why I had a hard time, but it doesn't mean I have to relive it or use it as a crutch in adulthood. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
like you got your ass beat when you were a kid and you grew up thinking that was okay. So you decided to then do that to your kid?
Yeah.
How much sense does that make?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
Or just being an asshole completely. Just being a really bad person. Yeah. So, but anywho, we digress once again.
I want to pivot it back to reality. I know we touched on this before in this potty. With like Granddad and dating these women, right? Because I feel like reality TV has now put this filter over social media where like we all have these Instagrams, TikToks, or Twitter profiles where you kind of mold yourself into this archetype character as well. Like, oh, I'm the big booty cutie.
Especially on dating sites.
Yeah, exactly. So I think that's kind of like a caricature also. Like, Granddad is shallow, but they're also kind of showing you how we all market ourselves, so to speak, on social.
That is a very good freaking point. Because once you said that, I'm like, oh shit, this Instagram, because I have different profiles. I'm like, yeah, I am. So this one, and I mean, mine are more business related, but I'm trying to keep personal and whatnot separate. But yeah, I mean, look, let's take MySpace, which is where Granddad was showing the real MySpace pictures, which hilarious because that's so true. Which is where catfishing started. But you think about that, like I used to spend hours on how my MySpace page looked. I would really
because you could put coding into it and insert music and the colors and all that. Like, come on, Facebook, what the fuck? Please, that was the best part of MySpace.
Oh my God. I miss Facebook when you could like what are your 5 favorite things? When you can like take little quizzes that like everybody else does. Yeah. I miss all that. When they started poking and shit is when the shit started going down. Like, I don't need you to poke me. Right? I don't want you to poke me in real life. Why in the hell do you think I want you to poke me 500 times, through social media? But yeah, but MySpace, it definitely started that whole facade, that whole my social media, persona, because you have to think about who's in your top 8. Am I making this person mad and all that? It was just, you
start dating someone new, they become your number one.
Yes.
And then, I noticed so-and-so wasn't in your top 8 anymore. Right? Did you guys fight?
Yes. Yeah. So that's funny. That's a good point. We definitely like that. I like that. Very insightful. See, we say insightful things.
I mean, I had a lot of things to say about the way Granddad conducted dating anyway.
Yeah.
I and also how the women would conduct dating, because I'm gonna be honest with you, I don't know a single woman who went on a first meeting to the person's house for the weekend. Which is the next thing that's gonna happen in the show that we're talking about right now.
Yeah.
Like, he was talking to someone online, at least for a tiny bit, who lives 5 hours away and convinces her to come over for the weekend, the first time they meet. And your grandkids are there.
Yes. Problems with that. One, you didn't want to pay for me to stay in a hotel. Stop being cheap. Why would you take your ass out there and he can't put you in a hotel, but you're willing to stay there?
Right?
Jeffrey Dahmer, have you never heard of,
Right.
like, hello,
and
there's killers in the world.
Just reasonably, what if you have a bad fucking time?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't actually have chemistry with this person in real life, you're then going to stay there for 2 more days?
Yeah, or just turn around and drive your ass another 5 hours, which is a waste of time. Yeah, so I like that you say that, because I feel like Grandpop was like, everybody's catfishing me in a way. Like, you don't look like this. But if you weren't basing it off looks in the first place and went ahead and looked for like, an Esther, a lady that had her Easter church, hat on in her picture.
Or somebody who had like things in common with
that's what I'm saying. Stop
you've had more conversations than just like, hey, how you doing? Your profile is this and you're sexy.
Yeah.
Which is what it seemed like they had talked about beforehand.
Yeah. Stop looking for women that are like, looking for a dad. Because that's pretty that's what it was. It was like gold digger, I mean, Grandpop was what, at least 60, 70 years old, right? So,
and that's definitely what the kids are thinking.
Yeah.
Huey and Riley think that, she's either like insane or she's going to try and steal money from them. Like the first thing they say to her, let's see, where are we? Yeah. The first thing they say to her is like, we don't keep money in the house. But she does look exactly like her picture, so Granddad's fine. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
He is happy that this is an actual person that looks exactly like she said, and you know, they seemed to hit it off pretty well. I think that
she showed her craziness real quick though, so that's good.
She took it way too far, way too quickly, for sure. But she also, like, I have a couple dogs. Oh yeah, how many dogs? I'll have one of these, I have 2 of these, and 15 of these. Okay, that right there. Like, how much land do you have with 15?
Right. 15 wolves. Now, she said she grew up around them or she was raised by them.
I think she grew up around them, but
either way, that like crazy.
Now, I am Team Luna through this episode. But I'm
totally Team Luna.
I
think that she had some social skills deficits.
I don't think she did. What I took this as is that this was a woman who was well adept in her career, who had reached the top, right? Like she's a martial arts champion. She's like fighting in this Tekken kind of fight, Mortal Kombat, whatever sort of fight circle. Like she's the shit. And what happens as a woman who's adept at her fucking job is that when you meet men who are like intimidated, I'm sure you girls know, intimidated by your success or knowledge or whatever, these motherfuckers, and I know some of these motherfuckers are probably listening to this podcast, lose their goddamn minds and they try and do like all sorts of weird shit to you, like you're crazy and you're strange and da-da-da-da-da.
Yep.
Dismissing all the lies and bullshit that they've done to, like, she may have been in like this crazy career, but she didn't do shit to Granddad. She didn't hurt him or threaten him or whatever. She just said, yeah, I do this. I do that. I raise wolves. If that's what the fuck you do it.
Oh,
you know?
No, that should not have been like a deal breaker. I can totally understand them going, whoa, that seems like a lot. Like, I feel that way when I tell people I have 3 dogs. But like, so she put kickboxing in her profile. But she and then she was like, well, it's not really kickboxing. It's more like, martial arts, like kung fu, it's like White Lotus kung fu. Like, instead of like putting in her profile, I am a kung fu master, and then later going, oh, it's this kind of kung fu when you talk about it. And it's like I went from kickboxing to the strongest, like most legendary karate, what was it? White Lotus karate, kung fu. There it is. I knew I was saying the wrong thing.
Right. But I mean, like, that's to me now, the lie. It's a lie. You're totally right. But to me, that's like me being online dating and saying, oh, I do social media marketing, which I kind of do. But it's a lot more technical and complicated than that. So if I meet a dude and say like, no, I actually do SEO specializing in technical and EAT audits and this and that, like, why the fuck? Like, it's like, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to break all this shit down to you. And it should not offend you that this is what I really do. You get what I mean? Like, this lady to me.
Oh, yeah. I just think a lot of the conversation might not be first date.
Right. Like, which is why she just says, oh, but Huey.
Yeah.
Huey is into this shit. Like, I feel like that's something we're also letting go. Huey knows what it is.
Huey
Huey
thinks that she's lying, though.
And right.
Like, actually, that's our next clip.
Woman. Yeah, okay. I'll shush.
That's our next clip.
Oh no, the Kumite is real. It's really real. The Kumite is usually held on some faraway, mysterious island, so it's a nice getaway. Kind of like one of them all-inclusive vacation packages. They cover room and food, everything. Except for incidentals, of course. It's nice, You get to catch up with old friends, see some really good matches, get a tan. Good times. Good times.
The Kumite is supposed to be a death match, right? You ever killed anybody?
Hey, everybody has to die sometime.
Finish him. Luna wins.
I mean, I'm like, you kill one man, you kill a dozen. It's all the same. I mean, they can only hang you once, right? Am I right? Come on now, you leave me hanging.
So that's kind of what, like, I think that story was like impressive, super impressive. And I would have been like, cool. And then when she was like, you kill one, you kill 15, or kill a dozen. And then I was like, that's definitely not first date conversation.
Yeah, it would be one of those things where I would, like, if hubby was close to me, like, you're hitting him under the table, like, but you're not giving any other sign that she's freaking you out a little bit. Yeah. But, you just kind of like, oh, really? That's crazy type of thing.
I dig how excited she is to tell the story and how proud she is of this accomplishment, which it absolutely is. And like how fucking strong she is. Like even, we'll talk about that in a second. Like she's this badass woman who keeps getting into super abusive relationships, and it's torn down her soul, and she has become this, I've got all these great achievements that are kind of scary, but I'm so like normal that it makes me look like I'm crazy, Well,
her friend doesn't help.
Her friend.
She's one of those, like, that's a friend that you have to be like, that's my girl, ride or die, but you're eventually, she can't, because she won't have the opportunity, but that's somebody that you end up going, you just slowly don't talk to them anymore. Say like maybe you invite her to your birthday dinner with a group of other people, but she's so toxic because she's so unhappy. So but
Luna
doesn't play.
Luna did not see that in her friend at all.
Oh, at all.
She could not pick up on the fact that this friend was completely just giving her terrible fucking advice.
Yeah.
And the first time we hear her talking on the phone to her is right after the scene, like the boys all run and hide in the bathroom. And then Huey decides he's going to go out and essentially he's about to challenge her because he thinks that she's lying.
Yeah.
And that was the first time we hear her talking to her friend. And at that point, it's not, not a toxic friendship. It's, girl, you don't need to be sleeping with him first time anyway. Like, it's all good. It's okay. Like, she's being supportive friend. Good for you. And then Huey comes downstairs and basically challenges her to a fight, even though she's the one who challenged him. But he totally got her to do that. And then, she took that too far and beat the shit out of a kid.
I mean, like, with pleasure.
He asked for it.
Yeah. Oh, he did. So.
He's 10.
Right. And that's what I kept saying. Like, after that first, kick, you should have been like, okay, I can see that you're good. You know your stuff. I'm going to hurt you if you don't stop.
Yeah, right? Yeah. Like when boys play slap boxing and stuff with that, like you see where it's too serious. And either this shit's about to go on a fight or they're going to go, okay, stop playing. And then that's the end of it. But yeah, like you said, he's 10, but, he wanted to act all big and bad. So
exactly.
She showed him.
He was so sure that there was no way that she could be what she claimed to be. And that could be the fact that she's a woman, yes. The fact that they already think that she's crazy because of the wolves thing and the stories that she's been telling. So, like, I can't fault Huey in doubting her because the stories seem outrageous.
I can't.
But also, I can also fault her in taking it a little too far on all of the occasions, I guess. And it's again, I wrote it down a few times. Like, her trauma has affected her social skills. Like, these are not things that you tend to do in mixed company until you've gotten to know somebody really well. Like, I'm not going to tell you my trauma until I trust you enough to tell you my trauma.
Now, see, this is where I'm a wolf bitch because especially when I was younger, I would tell people, a stranger, my trauma. I just did not give a fuck. This is the hand I was dealt in life. This is the shit I grew up dealing with. I am me. You can put up with it or you can get the fuck out. I'm not going to bend my personality or weaken myself and lessen myself, which if you are a wolf bitch listening to this, other women have told me in my career, like, oh, just pretend to be stupid, speak up a little less, like ask, even if you know the answer, ask men in the room the question and guide them to the right answer. Bitch, what? Like, I'm supposed to sit here and play stupid and lessen myself to make you guys feel good. And even though Huey is a kid, to me, he is that toxic masculinity. Like, if I say to people, oh yeah, like, oh, I didn't get the job. I did this interview at Google. They don't want to believe it. Oh, I want to see email. I want to see this. I want to see that. They don't want to believe it until, and well, this is a thing too in corporate. And then the more you show up that you are who you say you are, the more crazy you are, the more they gaslight it, the more they make you seem like you're a piece of shit person, you're arrogant, you're a liar, you're this, you're that. I'm telling you, the wolf bitches listening to this shit now. That's it.
Mic drop and mic drop. No, I 1000% agree. I mean, I think the narrative here is that she's a confident, strong woman, albeit, you know, maybe
traumatized.
Yeah, you know, I don't want to say mental, but just maybe, yeah, so traumatized.
Well,
and
trauma
such bad
affects your
relationships.
mental health. Yeah,
and such bad relationships that she's created a habit or a behavior.
Yeah.
Yes, that's detrimental, and so that, you know, that dims everything else about her. That's, you know, that's a shining light. So yeah, I think that's probably something that women really deal with. Like,
absolutely.
I'm so badass here. I'm confident in it. I'm great. But then somebody takes that one flaw or that one situation, and then that overshadows everything else. So then, you know, you become jaded. So it's harder for somebody to find somebody and to really truly be who you are. You know, I think, I hadn't thought. You guys just made me just see shit I never thought about. But yeah,
well, I mean, it could be so many things. It's obvious that in this show that she was made kind of a caricature of, you know, yes, she was a caricature of crazy girlfriend, stalker girlfriend, but it was based in a kind of realistic. You know, everything around it was very realistic.
Yeah.
Like, she's not crazy.
No.
She's not weird for having a lot of wolves. She's kind of odd for the way that she phrased it when telling them about it.
Yeah.
And that's a social thing. That's a social skill or a social norm or social moray, depending on what kind of a situation you're in. And like, she is very trusting. And, you know, we'll get into a couple of things where, you know, she will take what you tell her and believe you, as long as you don't give her a reason to not believe you. Which I thought, like, up until, you know, when we talk in a little bit about driving and her next phone call, that's where, like, she genuinely was like, okay, this wasn't terrible, because from her point of view, it really wasn't up until that point, really. She thought it was weird, but yeah, so after the sparring match, let's jump back a little bit. All the boys are in the bathroom, and after Huey had passed out because he got beat up, nobody can relax. Granddad tells the story of Brenda Richie, Lionel Richie's ex-wife, when she beat up Lionel and his future white ex-wife. Ex-white wife. There it is. I should have written down exactly what they said there. And you know, him telling that story, which may or may not have been true, but the whole point was because she knew kung fu.
Hubby was like,
Granddad was so convinced.
Did that happen? He's like, Google. Yeah. He's like, did that happen? I was like, true story. Yeah.
Let's see. And here we see another strong woman just being demonized. It's not Lionel cheating that's the problem. It's that this woman
crazy wife.
Very true.
Absolutely. And just it's also obviously from Granddad's point of view, and he has an agenda with all of it. And he's imagined such terrible things now because, you know, she's told these stories and he hasn't actually like talked to her after that.
Yep.
So like he's not trying to understand the truth or what's happening. He's just taking what she says at complete face value and thinking she's a crazy bitch and needs to get out of his house.
Yeah.
And so she's downstairs on the phone with her girlfriend again because he's been gone the whole night. Huey is helping Granddad come up with a logical lie, a way that he can get her out of the house without causing any drama and without, like, you know, hurting anybody's feelings. And they come up with a pretty good, like very basic, like can't catch you in a lie because there's nothing that you really need to lie about. And then Granddad decides to completely change it, go off script, talk about he had planned a birthday party for Fidel Castro and needed to get balloons from Jay-Z and, all this other bullshit. And she, like I said before, she believes it. She's like, oh no, I'm so sorry, And then, well, of course, she's like, I thought you were going to tell me that I was crazy like the others.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
No, I was telling Huey I would love to have a continuing relationship with you. Just, I have to go now. Like, totally gaslighting her, lying to her. And she's just like, okay, I'm going to choose to believe you.
Yeah. Against her better job. Like, you knew deep down she was like,
but she wanted to believe him because she didn't want it. She was still, even after all of these abusive relationships, she still had this hope for finding her Mr. Right. And, from her point of view, she was getting to know somebody, where from Granddad's point of view, he wanted to sleep with somebody, and now she's a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
So, anyway, so Luna leaves, drives off. Everybody celebrates because got rid of the crazy bitch. But as she's driving, she's talking to her best friend. And that's where basically the friend is like, ooh, girl, no, everything, that was all bullshit. He was lying to you. He was doing this or that. Fidel Castro's birthday isn't even today. And basically just knowing her friend is trying to drive 5 hours home after not successfully having a weekend, instead of saying, I'm so sorry that all of that should happen and, hopefully next time will be better or whatever. She's like, girl, you should go back there and get him. And like,
yeah. Hating this shit, just being a hater, just, yeah.
Oh, man.
This why I don't have a man. Nope.
Right? Nope. Better not get rid of that vibrator. Also, if you have a partner and you got rid of your vibrator, why?
Right.
Why?
Dumbest shit ever. I have plenty and I have a great
right?
Nope. It's all about self-love, which is something else.
And
she
my
didn't
partner
have that. Her
uses...
friend didn't have that. Like she did, yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And you can, all of that could go together. Anyway.
Right? Make a good old fun night out of it.
Oh, seriously. So Luna slams on the brakes, spins the car around, and heads back. And she finds Robert and Ruckus playing checkers in the park, which is probably the absolute worst person that she could overhear.
Yeah,
because he sits there and basically talks about, well, she couldn't have been that beautiful. She was a black woman, and just basically being his gross self.
Yeah.
And like that. That conversation where Ruckus is basically like, what did you say? Like a monkey in a wig or something like that.
Yeah.
Like I've heard that so many times that like the first time I heard it, I was like, of course that's from Ruckus's mouth. That's so fucking exactly what I would imagine Ruckus's imagination about a black woman, considering he reveres a white woman so much. And every time he thinks about white women and their
they smell
luscious
so
pale
good.
skin.
They're luscious,
yeah.
They're alabaster. Yes.
He's just an awful human. He is an awful human. And at first, she doesn't like freak out or anything because Granddad's not really saying anything like mean about what happened. He's just kind of like, yeah, and then it's, at least I got rid of that crazy bitch. And at that point, she's like, did he just, okay. Well, it's on.
Yeah. Like, then then it clicks. It was like, what? Okay. I'm going to show you, like yeah. And her defense, like that was her automatic defense, is using her, what she's talented, but also what helps to protect her and defend her, and
she's obviously smart and has gone through a lot of shit and learned some pretty fucking scary coping mechanisms. So maybe you shouldn't talk about her.
Yeah.
And this is where I defend her, just kind of being like, even if her background is awkward, this is where I defend it. Like how I say, I grew up in this environment. This is what I had to deal with. This is who I am. It's because if it's not for you, tell me up front. Tell me right away. This is not for me. So we don't get into all this bullshit of you hiding in bathrooms and talking shit about me, lying to me, then talking shit about me to your friends. Don't be a little bitch. Say what you need to say to my face and keep it moving.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100% agree.
I'm not saying she's right for what happens next.
No. But most of the things that happened were not up until that point were not her fault. Like, she didn't do anything other than just be awkward and, maybe like probably very nervous because she's going out with somebody for the first fucking time and staying at their house for the weekend. And I know I keep going back to that, but it's, I know it might be just because I'm looking at this from 2021, but I literally am like, girl, every single one of those girls that went on a first date with Robert at his house, I'm like, you don't know if that's a serial killer? Don't fucking do that.
The shit that we do. I was talking to a friend the other day, and I'm like, God damn, like, my dad wouldn't let me go to to San Diego State or UC San Diego. And I'm like, you are horrible. So I was talking to my friend the other day, and she's like, do you know how many times I went across to Rosarito or like went across the border and like my friends were ready to go home, and I was like, I'm not. And then I ended up hanging out with like, somebody in the Navy or somebody, and just, just certain shit. I remember going to the club, meeting this bartender, really hot white guy, and I'm being a little inappropriate here, but let's just say he was very blessed in an area. And we were outside smoking a cigarette, and he had his back turned to me because it was windy. And he turned around, and he was like, ta-da! And he presented it for me. And I was like, where do you live, and how fast can we get there? My friend was like, we come together, we leave together. I was like, not this time. And she's like, where do you live? I was like, I don't know. She's like, what part of downtown? I was like, I don't know. Like, I easily could have been buried underneath the house in downtown right now. But just the shit that you do during a certain age and how you just don't think about, what could happen is pretty amazing. Like, I go, God damn, I had angels with me because I was. Whew.
Well, that's a really good point too when thinking about this episode. Like, in a minute, we're going to talk about her backstory because she finally kind of goes into it a little bit. And, it all pretty much started from a terrible childhood. And then her underage boyfriend was like a Yakuza leader, was obviously abusive to her and in the exact same way that her dad was. And, just like things like that, really, the way that Magruder thought about trauma while also making sure that the backstory is just a little bit outrageous enough so that you're like, I don't know how to think about this.
Yeah.
Like her reactions aren't really unheard of when this kind of stuff, happens, goes on. Like, if you're being treated as nothing but a pretty face, but you've got some pretty serious trauma from what would be a good word for it? You've got rejection sensitive dysphoria or, some other, like, you take that rejection, that calling you a crazy bitch and getting you out of the house, that flips a wire. Like, it's like the students that I work with. They might be set off by something as simple as a paper falling off their desk, and it could turn into me having to keep safe from being beat up by a child who's almost as big as me. It's not necessarily there isn't necessarily an ability in there to calm your lizard brain, as I like to call it with my students. Your amygdala takes over. It's fight, flight, or flee, or fight, flight, or freeze. And she fights. That's her first instinct.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happens, as soon as he calls her a crazy bitch, it's like, boom, okay, no, now I'm going to fucking torture him.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to hurt you because you just automatically hurt me. But I'm going to, I can do it by kicking your ass, type of thing. Yeah.
And at this point, like, she's got everybody locked in the house. Like, the boys come home looking for Granddad. She's nailed the windows shut. She then, like, nails them into their bedroom. The phone's not working. Granddad comes home singing his She's Gone song.
Like, why did you have a song for that? Like,
She's
why?
gone.
I was watching it. I was like, oh, that's not necessary, Grandpa. Like,
That's what I was saying too.
Let's
But
do
it's
it a
the new
little
Shoes
too
song.
much.
It's
Yeah.
the new Shoes song.
Right? Pretty much. Like, that's all I felt like he had just gotten some ice cream or this. I'm like, yeah. Like, yeah. So he kind of got what he deserved. Next.
Yeah, she totally choked him out.
Yeah.
Tied him up, threw him on the bed.
She said, go to sleep, go to sleep, go to sleep.
And he wakes up to her holding a gun in his face.
Yeah.
And basically like, why did you lie? It was like, what's the movie? It's like A Fatal Attraction.
Yeah.
I'm not going to be ignored, Robert.
Yes.
Thin line between love and hate.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, fuck. I hadn't
yeah.
thought of that one in a while.
Oh my gosh, she was so good in that movie. Like
Yes.
Lynn Whitfield, crazy.
Yes.
Z beyond crazy. Once again, Regina King, badass. You know what I'm saying in that movie?
Mm-hmm.
Another example of her just being a just black woman magic all over the place. But yeah, that's actually, now that we bring that up, isn't that funny how women are portrayed in movies and in media in that situation? You know what I'm saying? Like they go overboard. You know, they completely go overboard. And at that time, they're willing to hurt anybody, including the man or whoever, you know, they felt wronged them.
The thing for me is like when her girlfriend again calls her right after Robert's woken up, and her girlfriend's like, he ruined your whole weekend. You've got to kill him.
Yes,
like,
weekend. Yeah, right.
Wow.
Right, like that doesn't
okay.
quite equate. I don't know. I feel like that's not payback or somebody ruining your weekend. Yeah. It's funny, but see, like I said, once again, she gassed her up, you know, and I think
and kept it going.
Yeah.
And, like, has not even yet. Like, she doesn't check in to say, how you doing? Everything okay? Like, I'm taking a breath or anything like that, which would be what I would do if my friend was, like, thinking about tying up her whatever person and holding him hostage until he fell in love with her or whatever.
Yeah.
Now, we don't take it this far, but on some real shit, this is what, like, me and Danielle be doing to each other. Oh, what did he say? What did he do, girl? Oh, you know he's lying, right? I'm on his Facebook right now. And like, I mean, we don't say like hurt him, go kill him or whatever, but we be tracking people down. We like look up there. Oh, I see he posted a picture with Sarah last week. I thought he was in Rome with his girlfriend or whoever. You know, we do that shit.
Look, that's a little different though, because that's doing research on the fuckboy who is deciding to lie, you know, and to just keep going. Last week we were hanging out with a friend and she had a guy over and I just did not like him. Like, I was just like, I ended up telling him, just because she's white and you're Jamaican or whatever you are, and I kept calling him Safari, Nicki Minaj's ex, on purpose. I was like, you know what you look like? Oh my, I was talking so much shit. And I had to stand up telling him, I said, you know what? I think she wants you to leave. And he's all, she can tell me that. I go, no. Because you think you're running shit and you're not. Like, this is not how you should interact with somebody just because, you know, you're like, oh, I'm this Jamaican king or whatever the fuck you thought you were. With this white woman, like, you know, is what I think how he was portraying it. And I was like, she is too good for you anyway. And I'm not going to say what other crude thing I said about his size of his, but I did. And and then so he goes, well, you know, I got to get up early in the morning anyway. I have a friend at the airport, and he just added way too many details. And I was like, this is why men get caught in lies, because you guys do that shit. Way too many details, but. You know, onto what?
Yeah, just go like, I gotta
Lindsay's
go.
saying. So you have to check. Yeah, you have to check. You have to do your checks and balances because, men, y'all are horrible ass liars. So, yeah, there's nothing wrong with that. I will get on somebody's Instagram, you know, and do some research and compare pictures and do all. I
mean, I guess it depends. If you
or
know,
friend, you know, if it's
if I was going to date someone new,
yeah,
I would probably want to like check out like their public Facebook or, you know, whatever they might have that I could see. But I think, I don't know. I don't have a friend like Lindsay and Danielle are. Like, that might have been Grace, but Grace would be more likely, do you want me to kill him for you? Like, she would have offered. She wouldn't have tried to talk me into it. She would have been like, where are you? I'll be there in 10 minutes or something like that.
Yeah.
So
that's me. I'm ready to scrap. I'm like, what we need to do, you know? And I, you know, I may sound like I'm somebody that's been in a lot of altercations because I'm just very, you know, I'm very blunt and I'm about getting, no, but I haven't. I've been in two of my entire life. One was with my best friend who I'm still best friends with to this day. I will admit, she whooped my ass when we were freshmen in high school. Yeah. Next time, I was at the state fair. I was with a couple of girls that I worked with. They were both white. They liked black men. So they wanted to go on Black Family Day, which used to be a thing here for state fair. So there would be certain days. This was basically a place where everybody went to go get something. You know what I'm saying? They went to go stand around in front of the rides and holler. That's what it was. So these girls were intimidated that there were 2 white girls there during this time. And so we were getting on the Gravitron. I will never forget. And they're just doing their passive aggressive talking shit. Oh, this and this and this and that. But they're saying it like it went over my head to them, like I couldn't hear. And my friends were so nervous. Let's just get online. I was like, the hell no, we're not. I was like, we're not about to do it. And I had to step up and fight 2 girls at that time because they were just wanting to mess with my friends just because they're white. And they were afraid that they weren't going to get to talk to one of the millions of dudes that were there. But, that's just the type of person I am, though. I don't have to get into a physical altercation, but I will go to bat for you.
If you have to.
Yeah. So
I get that. Dean's kind of like that too. He won't start a fight, but he will definitely finish my fights because I won't. Like I try very hard to avoid any kind of confrontation because I am one of those lucky people that the angrier I am, the more I cry. Which makes me even more angry. So I usually just like, if I get angry, I'm usually just like, okay, I'm going to shut off right now. I'm going to walk away. And eventually I will process this and I will come back to it. But like, I'll tell Dean and he'll be like, who is it?
You cry enough, people will be like, you get angry enough, people might be scared, like, oh, she about to go.
Oh, I have scared people like doing that. Yeah. I've scared Dean doing that, I think. Yeah. But not at you when I was in never mind. He knows what I'm talking about.
But that just reminds me of, I always tell people, if you aren't somebody in confrontation, do what Will taught Ashley on Fresh Prince when he was like, Becca. He's like, just make your eyes big. He's like, just act crazy, and then they won't bother you. So that's what I tell people. Like, fake it till you make it. Pretty much, if somebody's approaching you, and I just tell them you won't even know. That's what I tell them to say. I say, rub your hands together, and then just look at them and be like, you don't even know, and they'll be like, oh shit, I'm not about to mess with them. They're a little crazy. But
I have a friend who worked in theater who used to carry around like little blood capsules with her. And if somebody like out in public, like at the bus stop or something, would start trying to talk to her, she would pop one in her mouth and let the fake blood like dribble down. She'd just stare at them, making eye contact.
Love that.
Right? Isn't that just the best fucking thing? I never had the guts to do that shit.
Love it. Oh my God. I want to meet her. Like, if she's still, like, can you give her my phone number? Like, that is the best shit ever. Oh my God.
I'll see what I could do.
Yeah.
It was like 20 years ago at this. Well, yeah, about 20 years ago at this point.
She's like, I just did it the other day.
She might have. I don't know. I have not talked to her in a bit.
I wasn't getting my chicken sandwich fast enough. So I was like, hey, that's funny though. Look, all of a sudden there's going to be a trend. There's going to be like, for some reason, people are buying fake blood capsules.
I mean, yeah. It's effective.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I love that.
All right. So let's see. So back at the show, after her girlfriend is checked in and her friend is basically telling her none of what happened is her fault, and that, she should just kill him. Right around the same time, the boys are trying to escape their room. They see Tom coming up the sidewalk, so they try and hit in the window to get his attention. But, he doesn't see them. The window is nailed shut, so they can't open it to yell at him. He goes to the door, and Luna answers the door. And, he basically is just like, hey, can I talk to Robert or the boys? Or can I just come in? Can I use your bathroom? And then it comes out that Huey had sent an email before Luna came back saying, hey, if this woman comes back, can you come and make sure she hasn't murdered us?
Yeah. I will give him props. He didn't go over there like scary and bitchy like I would have expected him to do. Like he was kind of, like he was maybe going to try to, bum rush through the door. Yeah. Like I was like, go ahead. Get you, Tom. All right. But yeah, so that was one thing I liked about that scene. I was like, look at him trying to stand up and swing his balls around a little bit.
He was trying. He was like, I'm just going to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. And okay, so this is going to sound ridiculous because he really doesn't actually believe it. But then he does because she hits him and knocks him out and ties him up on the bed next to Robert. This is when she starts telling them all of the terrible stuff that happened in her past, all of the horrible relationships she was in, from her dad being abusive to multiple boyfriends, like calling her fat, telling her that she's nothing without them. And just generally every kind of abuse you can think of, she has experienced it in her life. So luckily, she's also, again, still really pliable. Like, she listens to her friend. And then the next thing that sounds logical to her is when Robert's like, you have to stop being the victim. You can't just, or Tom's like, you can't just kidnap people. They convince her to take responsibility for her actions and go home. And so she decides they're right. She cuts them. And as she's leaving, she gets back on the phone with her friend.
You got him, girl?
No, everything's okay, Nicole. He told me I should take responsibility and let go of the past.
So you do all of that. He gonna marry you then?
You know what? He didn't say.
Oh, Luna. That means no. Oh my God, girl. I am so sorry. You told this man your life story and he just dished you like that? If a man said that to me, oh my God, I don't think I can handle it. I would just freaking die.
And then she did. She pulls the pin on the grenade that she had on her, and the car blows up right pretty much on the street in front of Granddad's house. And there you are. That's kind of they're like, okay, well, her friend talked her out of taking responsibility, and she's dead now.
Which is so sad. Like, just once again, it's how toxic. It's a message on the people that you bring into your life and how you're letting them use their insecurities and their problem, and then they're putting it on you, and then that becomes your shit. You know what I'm saying? And so,
and that friend is still sitting there talking on the earpiece even after the car has blown up.
Best Bluetooth ever, first of all, best Bluetooth ever. But yeah, she's continuing about it. Girl, are you ignoring me? Well, and it was, once again, she made it about her over, even in the end. So,
and I'm very much a proponent of accountability. Absolutely. Everyone is responsible for your own healing. I don't fucking care, you are. But, however, I also think it is a message, again, going back through all the shit we talked about today, you need to be really careful out here how you are messing around with other people and fucking with their trauma. You don't know what you're poking. You don't know what you're joking about. You don't know what your little lies and jokes are doing. And some people don't give a fuck and they don't care if you go home and commit suicide. They really don't. But for people who are actually decent fucking human beings with a conscience, maybe watch the things you say and watch the way you treat people. The end.
Yeah.
Welcome to our TED Talk.
I everything that you said. I mean, this episode just, once again, you go into it thinking one thing, and then as we talk about it, you really see just once again how Aaron Magruder and the writers are freaking geniuses, because I think he touched on so many things about, I don't want to say what is wrong, but something that so many of people in our community deal with, and deal with to the detriment of the quality of their life and to their, to finding love, to being your best at your career, or, really just truly being in your purpose and becoming the person that you're supposed to become. Like, we're putting obstacles and roadblocks in front of that, either on purpose or not. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And that reminds me of something else. Like, when we said last week, I was saying, I think that's a theme of the season, is how Black people are othering other Black people. I think the message being set here a little bit was but this dynamic between Black men and Black women about a lot of times Black women today are out earning Black men. And so you get put down for it. You get abused for it. No one wants to date you. You know what I mean? You have to let the man be the man. And I'm not judging anyone who kind of feels like, they want to sign on to those kind of gender norms or whatever in the Black community. But, don't make someone evil because they're fucking good at what they do or successful in this kind of bullshit.
Because if they don't fit into what your idea of normal, quote unquote, is, that doesn't mean that there's anything actually wrong with them.
Exactly. Yeah. And we do that too much. So once again, we're not a monolith. So it's like, Black people very much would say like, skateboarders. Like, what? Black people don't skateboard. No, they do. Black people do things that are active.
That was my assumption when I was a kid because I never saw them around Seattle. And then I know. But yeah, absolutely. That was a huge thing because I always wanted to be a skateboarder, but
yeah, my son wants to.
And I was Black.
Yeah, right, that part. Like, I want to snowboard, but no, that's not something Black people do. Go to the cold? What? What are you talking about? But so it's definitely things that are stereotypes or ideas like that definitely become something that's blanketed, but then we help to manifest it because we fall into it. And it's not on purpose. It's not like we're trying to, but it's just like, well, it is what it is. Just like all Black people vote Democratic. Why? Because that's what we were told to. That's how we've grown up, but now as people are really looking more into it, and I think as you grow up and you realize who's best for your life. So you may not continue that. My entire family's always voted Democratic. So kind of like that, kind of example. Like, yeah. So it's, yeah. No.
Is there anything else anyone wants to say about this episode before we move on to our thing? No?
Oh.
All right, then, Dean.
Welcome to Stupid White People Questions.
You mean I'm gonna stay this color?
Hello, everyone.
I feel like it's always hard for me not to laugh during that
one. Now I got this question from MJ, but I've heard this question at least 1,000 million times, and it's not just this one particular hairstyle; it's also locks as well. So, why is it cultural appropriation for white women to wear braids?
I will say this: certain parts of the country,
yes,
it's more of the norm because it's more of your fashion sense. So like if you're really into hip hop, if you're like from New York or like a girl from there or something, you wear Timbs, you wear the big, puff coats. And so maybe with that goes the bamboo earrings. And then maybe with that, you want to go ahead and, get a couple braids or whatever to go out for the weekend. So I think that some people that are using it as more of like, it goes with my outfit. It's a fashion thing. I don't have a problem with it. But for those of you, okay, and if you're in Jamaica or Mexico and you let the people on the beach braid your hair, great. But when you come back, take that shit down, okay? Take it down. Because your shit starts to look real ratty after like a week. Nobody wants to hear your beads clicking, clacking, and clicking and clacking all over the place. That part. Now, when you are trying to appropriate and something, let's say like modeling, let's say something like I'm a Kardashian. I like them. I'm not one of those that thinks that they've used Black people to move forward or blah, 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 whatever. We'll use them for example. So when Kim braids her hair and takes a picture or goes to an event, that's because her stylist put that in and they thought aesthetically that would all look good together. But if Kim, once she married Kanye, from the whole 7 years, always had cornrows, always had big bamboo earrings, always, what I'm saying? Like was doing something that was, known as
J-Lo.
Yeah.
J-Lo when she was dating Puffy,
like I said, J-Lo was definitely trying to get
constantly.
her cred.
Yeah.
She was trying to be respected from, from the community. So it's a problem when you don't understand one, the history behind it. One.
And why it's so, the biggest reason why those hairstyles evolved was one, it was protective of the hair and scalp. And two, they were used as maps to get slaves on the Underground Railroad. Like they were literal maps, like braided into hair of slaves and who would go around to other slaves to make sure that they knew whatever the plan was. And that's not in any way in anyone's mind when they put that in their hair.
Probably even Black people who didn't know about the Underground Railroad map. Like I guarantee, So
and Quilts too.
And I think that's, I mean,
they would make quilts that would show you the way.
People, you know, and genius, always have been. And we continue to show how we are. I just think that we all, you know, there's many of us that need to tap into and really understand our power for us to really move forward. But that's a whole different one. But yeah, so like I said, when you're trying to take our history away from us, or our struggle, or things that empower us, and you just try to like make it so trivial as in, well, what, like such and such does it, or, you know, I like Beyonce and Beyonce does it, or, you know what, when you're doing it for the wrong reasons, that's why it's a problem. That's when it becomes an issue. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
When you're doing it without knowing the history behind it. And, you know, it's also the specific way that braids are in cornrows, in that kind of style. If you don't have black hair, it's not going to stay, because your hair isn't, I mean, even my hair is very thin and pretty, like it's wavy, but not really curly. I can get like ringlets when it's wet, but I don't have black hair. And
girl, I don't either.
I don't know.
I don't either. So don't let
I just know that it's wavy. It's not
or see, I have no fucking idea.
Right. But if you put braids in my hair, they will fall out. They don't stay without like having to use product and rubber bands and, you know, whatever. Like most like black people hair after a certain point, I guess, in the grading, it will braid and then stay. And it'll take a while before that starts to have hairs like popping out of it. And most of that's usually new growth. And that's where the protective part came in. The braids were there so that the new growth could happen safely without breaking off. So like when you go to Jamaica and you get your hair braided, it looks pretty. If you wait a day or two, it's going to look shitty because your hair's not, that's not
for
a style
it
that
always
is made
reminds
for
me of
your
Monica
hair.
when from Friends, sorry, and we're talking about Friends, when they went to the Bahamas and she was so happy to have her hair braided, and it was the worst ever. Like they were like, "Can you please take that?" We are like, she was so proud of it. And she was one of the ones that had like beads on it and kept flicking and clacking. But you know, her hair didn't do well with the humidity, so it started looking real bad. But yeah, no, I agree with everything you said. I completely. So, Lindsay, what do you have to do? Have you ever had that question?
Definitely. So my stance on this is kind of, first of all, I don't care really so much about cultural appropriation. I really don't. Get in where you fit in, like Rachel Dolezal or whatever her name was.
Oh, yeah.
I never had an issue with that lady. I know what you're going to say because I understand exactly why Tiara is sighing, though, and I'm not going to get into that next. I just always felt like, you know, the world is so fucked up. Yeah. If you pretending you're black makes your fucked up life livable, I'm not going to fight you on a girl, take it. But now we get into where the issues lie. And it actually, to me, goes back to the conversation we had last week about black face. So a lot of issues people had with Rachel was that they felt like this woman actually stole opportunities away from black people who could have taken them. Taking it back to the Kardashians, like not with Kim so much. Like I know she wears box braids and all this shit. She really doesn't bother me as much, but these women have crazy control over their social image. That's their market. That's their game. Do you guys remember a few years ago, I think it was Kendall, the model one, I think, was in some Vogue or Elle. She was wearing cornrows. And the title on the magazine said, Kendall Jenner starts new cornrow trend. I'm sorry, what?
She pays homage to Bo Derek. Right? And I was like, no. That's not no.
And they even tried to.
Every fucking time a white actress has a black hairstyle or gets a tattoo that has some kind of like, you know, cultural meaning to someone else, it's a new trend. It's a new style. It's, you know, it's not from black people. Look at these barrettes that are made out of plastic and look like little animals. We're going to put them on our hair and it's going to be so cute. And you mean like a black child in the 80s?
Yeah.
Oh. Yes. Or the bonnet thing. The wearing a bonnet to sleep or wearing a head wrap and like not understanding why women would wear them in the first place.
Silk pillowcases before black people started doing it because we found that was better for your hair. Nobody, like, you know.
My grandmother used to do, which I always thought was wild.
Women who could afford to get their hair professionally set knew very well how to keep it that way for like a week. And that would include things like bonnets and silk. But it was in the Black community, it was literally, again, same like the hairstyles. It was preserving the hair and keeping it from breaking off and keeping it healthy and giving it a chance to grow without getting like tugged all over the place or protecting a style. Like if you flat iron your hair, you would put the bonnet on to make sure that you wouldn't like get all messed up in the night. Like it's good for your hair because there's no friction higher class, quote unquote, higher class than me, people definitely knew about the silk sheet thing. Right, was not just for like how it feels on your skin.
I mean, and it's so good for your skin.
Like general public,
Now, one thing I was familiar with, and this is just my white experience, is that I was familiar with do-rags. Until recently on TikTok, with the bonnet thing, and I brought this up to TR.
That's why it was in my head.
Because I can't remember any place in media that I've ever seen a Black person wearing a bonnet. Now I've seen do-rags, of course, on, like The Wire or whatever, and what have you. And
what I basically said was now with TikTok, we're starting to see these creators
in their real life.
In their real life, not just the made up, beautiful hair and makeup and all that. We're seeing them in their normal life, which includes their hairs and bonnets and wearing a bathrobe or wearing, I don't know what else. Like, they're not super done up anymore.
Sure.
But
I mean, there's even a guy on there who does, he does a segment called Bonnet Basics, in which he has his bonnet on. He doesn't talk about wearing a bonnet, but he just has his bonnet on and he talks about whatever the topic is. And that's just his little twist on it, is that he's wearing a bonnet.
It's just normal. Yeah. But it's presenting it to a much wider audience now because of things like TikTok and
So I'll be interested to see how many white folks start wearing bonnets now.
I mean, dudes, you guys cannot get waves. Do-rags are to help start waves. So every time I think of a white dude wearing a do-rag, I think of B-rag.
I learned about that in the military.
Because that's what you guys look like. You look like Jamie Kennedy in Malibu's Most Wanted. Just so in case you guys want to know, that's it. Now there's some.
And where is Jamie Kennedy now? Making like the 5,000th Tremor movie.
Well, that was it was on Trailer Park Boys.
Oh yeah,
Jonathan Torrens played J-Rock, who plays a Mennonite on Letterkenny. But he played J-Rock on Trailer Park Boys, and he wore a do-rag as well.
There's some people that I think if you grew up around Black people, you grew up in like an urban area, like, and you started to try to like comb your hair or keep it real low because you go to the Black barbershop, you may get a little dip. And I see you wear your do-rag. But look, freaking Cohen from freaking, Calabasas, boys, stop. Okay? You are not going to get waves. Stop going and buying do-rags in every color and then rocking them to the beach in Calabasas. Stop it. Right now.
And that's the difference between cultural appropriation, wearing something without its actual like meaning, and actually like using it in the way it's intended, which would be if your hair does this thing, when you add these things, this is what it's for. And
1,000%.
But I'm still not done ranting.
I was gonna say, did you have more?
Oh yeah. Like, cause they took the Kardashian, and I want to say it was Kendall again. It could have been Kylie. I don't know. One of these they did it with Tim's as well. They tried to say Timberlands were like another trend that these Kardashian people started. And it's like, no, that is a way of life in Black culture, is buying your first pair of Tim's, wearing your Tim's, all this bullshit. But my whole thing with it is, aside from just the appropriation, right? And even if you want to say every culture has elements of their heritage that make it into fashion in the mainstream and all this kind of bullshit, I get that. But why it is painful for Black people, and again, I really don't care. Do what you want, get in where you fit in. But you take a moment and you make it a fashion moment. Meanwhile, for us, this is a way of life, and it's a piece of pain. Like, I grew up having my hair, like I talked about on this pod, every few weeks, I get my hair washed. My mom would sit my ass down in that chair and then braid my hair back for hours, because that was what was going to hold for a couple of weeks. And I had to go into these white schools. Yep. That was like the touch up. Yep. and I have to go into this white school, this white environments where my natural hair would not be accepted. That's why I had to wear cornrows. I hated it. I don't wear braids. I can't stand them to this day because that was my pain growing up. So I think it's great that Black people are reclaiming and embracing them, but that was a pain for me. I don't like it. If you want to enjoy it, though, have at it, honey. But just be ready that people are going to give pushback because you are making a moment out of their sort of culture. And that's like,
and you bring that point up, and Kendall's probably the worst offender out of all of them. Like, she's the one that tried to make new shirts by putting her picture over Biggie and Pac's picture.
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, she I don't know what it is. I feel like out of everybody, okay, I'm not gonna lie, all the rest of them have the entire time, they've had like a Black best friend, or they've had Black people in their lives that aren't just somebody they're dating or whatnot. Kendall's the only one that does it. Kendall kicks it with all the socialites, all the Bella Thornes and all that,
Well, you got to think, though, the difference is most of them grew up before they got famous and rich. Whereas Kendall was like a little kid when she started getting attention. And
she is. Kylie and Chloe both got caught. I think I talked about this on here before too. They both got caught with all these designs and clothing lines they've been coming out with. They would reach out to Black designers on Instagram, get them to sign on to designing a line for them, and then they would even not pay them what they promised, or they'd steal the designs. Oh yeah,
Chloe, I love both of them. Both of them are my favorite. Oh,
I will find the articles and send them. They both were caught up. Chloe and Kylie doing this shit. Not Kim.
Yeah, do that.
Not Kendall.
Man.
Yeah, I feel like Chloe, I'm a little surprised on because I feel like
right, and
at least in the past, she always seemed to be the most level-headed of them.
Legit become her
when I actually paid attention to them.
Like she said,
Yeah, before
the
millions of dollars of plastic surgery, because her family fucked her brain up and told her she was ugly always.
I thought, so did I. I felt like
she was fucking gorgeous even then.
I'm like, girl, you look like you used 17 different apps to filter yourself, which I'm sure she did. But
I saw her on a commercial. There was a migraine commercial, and I'm like, the voice sounds familiar, but I don't know who the fuck that is. It wasn't until they put the name up that I'm like, holy shit, what the fuck?
And after how
That's
she
totally
did
different person.
Jordan Woods, I'm sorry, that girl was, I thought she was the coolest one out of all of them too. But after, that was that classic, I'm going to be the white victim in the situation shit. However you feel about the situation, even if you want to say Jordan Woods was wrong in the situation, which she has culpability, they did that girl so dirty to me. That is why I don't fuck with the Kardashians. I think that was a trash ass move. And they all tried to hop on and bully this 21-year-old Black girl in your industry. No, let me stop before I get...
Because I feel like, people are like, well, she had to ride with her sisters. And I'm like, I get that. And I think that's what more of it was. Because, everything that they have is so fabricated. So I think Chris thought, Chris really runs shit. Chris sat him down and was like, we always seem like we're a strong front together. We always ride together. We battle people together. So this is another situation where we're going to stick together. So I kind of feel like that was a little bit of it. But then again, Kendall, you're a grown ass woman. You've made billions of dollars on your own. I would have looked at them and been like, let me tell you where you can kiss. Because that's my best friend since I was 8 years old. And, I would have told Chloe, get control of your man. Yo bad. And then probably kept her as a friend. But so I definitely see your point because you have your own will. But then again, it's probably in their contracts with Chris that they can't disobey her or some shit. I don't know.
Yeah. But I even feel like that stick together mentality, that's the same shit that police do. That's the same shit MAGA people do. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But we can wrap it up, y'all, because I'll be on here till fucking 6 p.m. Yeah.
It'll be 9:00 tonight.
Yeah. I got my, like I said, I triple booked today, so I got something in less than an hour now.
Guys.
All right. Any final thoughts before we sign off for the day?
Another bomb episode.
All right.
Yes.
Absolutely. All right. Bye, everybody.
Don't take this the wrong way, but I need you to get the hell up out of here.
Hey, thanks for joining us again as we make our way through the trials and tribulations of the Freeman family. We hope to see you back again next time for Shinin'.
Want to know where to find us on the social medias or where to subscribe to the podcast? Just head right over to www.theboondockspod.com/links.
Have a stupid white people question you want to leave us? Email us at host@theboondockspod.com or leave us a voicemail at 760-933-8636. That's 760-3-UNDO.
Shout out to the artists who've created our intro and outro tunes. Our intro is #MakeAChange by KIRK. You can find them on Spotify, iTunes, and Tidal. Our outro is Good Times by Audio Binger. You can find them on freemusicarchive.org and YouTube.